What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. It's been a while since I uploaded one of these. My schedule has been absolutely crazy lately, but it's good to be back playing the game and also finally finishing off one of these videos. Right, we are playing F1 2021 at Jeddah, and we will be trying to do a crazy last to first challenge against 100% AI in a 100% race. Yes, 100% race. So this is going to be a long one, but stick around because this race was absolutely bonkers. I recorded this back in June of this year, so it's been a while, but I assure you it basically has everything. So stick around and I hope you enjoy this one. About this track, I think it's one of the big reasons I actually invested in F1 2021. It's just because of this track, as crazy as that sounds, but it really did not disappoint. And now it's really one of my favorite tracks on this game. You have a big long straight, three DRS zones. It's very difficult to really lose somebody. Even if you overtake, they can easily come back at you because they will have DRS with you. So it's very challenging when you're trying to overtake somebody. You can easily get stuck in DRS trains because of those the triple DRS zones. So it's definitely a challenge, but I think we're up to it. So you can see the starting grid. Now we are driving as Checo Perez from the back of the grid, and our teammate Verstappen is on the front row. As this game is from 2021, you'll obviously see Hamilton and Verstappen going at it throughout the race. So there you go. We are P20 in this race, and so what we decided to go for as a strategy, really, I think the strategy that the game suggests is a soft mediums. I think we went for a soft medium soft. I really wanted softs at the end, so we want a prior offset at the end of the race, so that we are way faster than the AI, and that's the only way that this challenge can actually work. So I hope it works. Otherwise, we will definitely be in the mud. So let's go, guys. We have one, two, three, four, five red lights, and here we go with the last to first challenge. We get a decent start with the two Haas cars. Now into turn one, we go for a dive. Just sticking with Russell over there. He just gets away from us. Latifi is side by side into sector one. It's a good start. I would say 17th, and we just squeeze out Latifi over there, right behind Russell at the moment. So my thinking here was that it will be easy for us being in the Red Bull to overtake some of these cars, but we need to make sure that the lead pack doesn't get away as we go down the inside. That was a really good overtake. And now Raikkonen, what is that, Giovinazzi? It's Giovinazzi. I'm forgetting the Alfa Romeo cars now. So this is a very tricky section. I mean, very easy to get a warning. We do have regular corner cutting rules on, not strict. I think strict are a bit too much. I would say it's not really realistic in real life. But anyways, we are right behind the two Alfa Romeos in Giovinazzi and Raikkonen, and I'm constantly checking the mini map on the left hand side. We need to make sure that we don't really lose touch with the lead pack. As we go down the inside again in the final corner, just about save it in going into the back of Raikkonen under this main straight. And we need to be very smart while we are overtaking these cars here. We don't want to lose too much time fighting. So we go into turn one again, we go for the dive. This is, I think, the best place to overtake on this track, because sector 1, I saw that it's much easier to sort of get away from the air. You really gain a lot of time. They take very odd lines in sector 1, so all throughout the race and I think what you would see is that the player is usually a bit faster than the AI for some reason. Now we have the two Aston Martins, Stroll and Vettel. Do we go for the dive here? We don't. I think we I wanted to do that, but um, no room. I think it's always challenging to overtake slow. You never know what he's going to do. So, but we get a good run in sector 2, and we go down the inside here, just about keep it on the track, using all of the track there, and we get that move done. Chasing after Vettel, we're going to skip a little ahead. I think we are onto lap 3 into sector 2 again, so we're right behind Vettel now, about 5 tenths away. We want to make these overtakes really quickly, as I said. We do not want to get stuck over here. If you look at the mini map, you'll see that there is a bit of a gap forming between the lead pack, Norris right in the middle. I think that's Norris, and we want to make sure that we get front of this queue really quickly. So going into this sector behind Vettel, we want to make sure we get the DRS going into the final corner, so we stay behind, and we should be getting, I think it's lap 3, so we'll be getting the DRS here, right? So we want to make sure that either we make this overtake on this straight or we hold back for the main straight. Yes, so we're going to wait for the main straight. As I said, it's the easiest place to overtake. With DRS, using all of the battery, you want to make sure that we have a good run till turn 1 and we are late on the brake. Make sure, and there we go. So just a little bit wide, and I think Vettel is going to come back after us. No, he doesn't. Oh yes, he does. On the right hand side, you'll see that Vettel is coming back, and we want to make sure that we go deep here. We go really deep. Thankfully, don't get a warning. It should be a warning, but nevertheless, I think we're taking some liberties with the rules here. We need to make sure that we overtake all of these back very quickly. Now behind Ocon, we skip ahead to lap 5, again going into turn 1. We think better of it not to take it there, not much space there. In sector 1 again, you'll see that we should be gaining a lot of time and getting to right behind Ocon here. They are struggling to sort of follow each other in this sector, you'll see. Because of this train, the AI are following each other. They are braking a bit early, trying to be very careful in sector 1. So we get a really good run again. Going into this hairpin, are we going to make the move here? Yes, we will. And that was very well done, I would say. I think much more satisfying than the turn 1 overtake is this overtake on this hairpin, and I think it's turn 9, if I'm not wrong. Again, going into sector 2, we are behind Tsunoda, chasing after Tsunoda now, and again, if we go look at the mini map, you'll see that the lead pack of Bottas, Hamilton and Verstappen is getting away from Norris, so we need to make sure that we're not losing too much time here. But again, last first is not an easy thing. It's difficult to make sure that you don't lose that much time. And again, we have the DRS again with Tsunoda. We go round the outside, can't really make a move there, so we're going to take the DRS on this straight again and try and make the move going into turn 1. Again, you'll see battery deployed, DRS open. Even though Tsunoda has DRS, I think the pace of the Red Bull is too much, and we go round the outside this time. Really nice move into turn 1, into turn 2.
Good job.
We get that move done. And now chasing after Alonso, Sainz and Leclerc. I think that's the train that we are following right now. We're going to skip ahead a little bit because there was a lot of fighting between the AI and nothing really much happened until about, I think, the lap 8. So you'll see here, I think Alonso and Leclerc are fighting each other a lot. Sainz, I don't know what happened to Sainz, but we go down the inside for that double overtake. I think Sainz got damaged. I think he had to pit. Alonso, Leclerc and Sainz are really going at it, and Sainz got damaged and he had to pit. So free position for us. So we are now up to P7. So in about 8 laps time, we have gone from P20 to P7. I think that's a pretty good achievement. We'll skip ahead to about lap 10, and you'll see that we have really closed up to Gasly here. We are about 3 or 4 seconds off, and now we are right at the back of him, about 5 tenths away. If I look at the mini map, my teammate and the 2 Mercedes are really away in the distance, and I have Norris and Ricciardo really spread out in front of me. So I think after Gasly, I think that's where we really get into this meat of this race. Um, we really enjoyed making the overtakes of the back markers and the midfield, but I think a big mountain really awaits us when we're trying to chase after the lead track. So again, I think similar move we'll see into turn 3, sector 3, turn 3. And into the final turn, we are really close to Gasly here again. He's not going to have DRS. He's going to be a sitting duck on this straight. DRS deployed, DRS deployed. About 10-11% battery we are having, so not ideal, but I think that's fine. We'll go down the inside again, and we make that move stick. Now we have Ricciardo next up, about 1.7 seconds ahead. Norris 7.5 seconds ahead. Need to make sure that we reach down to Ricciardo really quickly, and we really have done really well in chasing him down. At the end of lap 11, you'll see that the gap is down to about 0.8 of a second. Going into again the main straight, we'll keep chasing and we'll keep on board now. Chasing after Ricciardo, we are a bit too far off to make that turn 1 overtake, so we'll stick behind Ricciardo and just see how much time we really gain during this sector. And so go down to 4th gear there, upshift to 6th gear. I think I saw that gear was a bit too iffy. You could really spin out. So staying in 6th gear again, staying behind Ricciardo, you will see that we are almost pushing him through these corners, and we'll get a really good run. Again, dose of DRS, and yeah, that's one of the easier moves that you'll make at the Jeddah circuit. He will come back after us, but yeah, the Red Bull space is too much for him to handle. So lap 12, we are about 5.5 seconds behind Norris, so we've gained 2 seconds in the last lap or so. So that's pretty good. That's good progress versus the AI versus Norris. And we want to make sure that we keep this pace up. Skipping to lap 13, the gap is about 5.5 seconds ahead, so we're not really gaining on Norris here. I think we are starting to feel the tire wear a little bit. These are the soft tires, so that's going to happen. So Norris does go into the pits. So here's the thought process that I was going through at this moment in time. If you look at the right hand side, I'm seeing where I will rejoin in the race if I pit, and you'll see that it says P11. If you look at the mini map, you'll see that there's this whole gaggle of cars behind, and I just did not want to get stuck in traffic. So even though Norris is probably going to undercut us over here, I think it's better to try and extend this stint as much as possible. So there are two things that you sort of gain with that. One is that your third stint on the softs, second stint on the softs, or the third stint for the race and the medium tires as well, you'll have much fresher tires, and we want to try and avoid this traffic. With the pace felt really good. If you see the tire wear it's there 23%, but we are setting purple sectors at this point. So my thinking here right now is to keep on extending on these soft tires as much as I can, so that I can come out in front of that traffic and not be stuck behind anybody and trying to make overtakes, because it takes a lot of time away from you, and I don't want to lose that time at all. So if you look at this again, it still says P11, the rejoin position, and we want to make sure that it's at least ahead of Ricciardo. So P5, P6 would be ideal at this stage, as we set the fastest lap, 1 minute 34. So the pace is really there. I think we're really feeling it at this point, as my pit window does open, but I'm not going to pit at this point. I think I should extend as much as I can just to make sure that I don't come out in traffic. Looking ahead to lap 16, you'll see that we're not really gaining on the front pack at all. And again, I look at the rejoin position, still P11. So we're still waiting for the guys behind to pit. We have pulled a gap on Ricciardo, about 4.5 seconds, but we're not really gaining on Bottas here. As we skip ahead a little bit, lap 17, we do gain a little bit on Bottas, and we see that Hamilton and Verstappen have made their pit stops, and we are in P2 at the moment. 7.9 seconds to Bottas, lap 17. Norris just set the fastest lap of the race, so here's where we are thinking we'll need to sort of make a decision on the pit stop. As you can see, the rejoin position now says about P6, and here's where we decided that we should come in for the next stint of medium tires. At this stage, I'm thinking it's been a good race so far, but the victory seems a bit challenging. Verstappen and Hamilton are ahead, about a pit stop ahead of me. Not really gaining much on Bottas, but Bottas at Bottas, so we don't know if we'll be able to overtake him. So into the pits we come. Bottas is also pit. We're hoping that we are able to pimp Norris here. He's about 14 seconds behind. You lose about 17 to 18 seconds in the pits. So I think Norris will get ahead, but we should stay ahead of Leclerc. Oh, Leclerc pits. So skipping to lap 18, we are behind Norris about 3 seconds on those medium tires. Norris is definitely going to be faster than us at this stage, but the soft tires do wear out very, very quickly in about a lap or two, and then we should be able to gain back that time to Norris. Bottas is 7.5 seconds ahead. The top two are just completely out of reach, so not looking ideal at this moment for a last to first, but we'll push on, get our head down and try and make those overtakes one by one. So as you can see, Norris 2.9 seconds. We are gaining a lot at this point. I think we're really showing that the Red Bull is faster than the McLaren on this game. Skipping to lap 20, about 1.7 seconds now. We've really closed up the gap. We are getting some of the back markers here, so you'll see Mazepin in the middle. I hope he doesn't really hold us up here. 1.6 seconds now. The gap to Norris, really putting the pressure on him at this stage. Mazepin moves out of the way. Really nice work from him. Thank you. 1.5 seconds now. So you can see in the first sector itself, we have gained about 3 tenths on Norris. And the aim here is to try and get his DRS by lap 21. If on the main straight, that would be ideal. But even if you're able to get it at some point on lap 21, that would be great. 1.2 seconds now. So we're gaining a lot on Norris at this point. Bottas, not really. So we were about 7.5 seconds when he came out of the pits. He's 8.1 seconds ahead now. So we did lose a bit of time to him, but the Red Bull is much more superior to the McLaren at this stage. So we are gaining. I would ideally want to make this overtake on Norris going into lap 21. So last corner, we won't get the DRS at this stage. We really need the DRS to get after Norris. So going into turn 1, staying behind Norris right here, and we're going to keep on board chasing after Norris into sector 1. I think the setup we chose for this race was sort of a medium downforce setup, so we're really doing well in the first sector of the race. So we should be able to get into the DRS after this turn. Yes, we do, about 7.5 tenths. So we'll have DRS for sector 2 and 3, the DRS zone. So Norris should be a sitting duck going into that final corner at the end of this lap. So at this stage, I'm still struggling to believe that we can go from last to first. So you have about 8 seconds to Bottas. We've not been able to really catch him up at all. Ideally, we should be catching him, but we're not. Hoping that once we overtake Norris, we get into some clean air and we can actually make some headway onto the two Mercedes and Verstappen. Coming back to the lap, right behind Norris, we'll get DRS for this final DRS zone again, about 3 tenths behind. So we should be lightning quick in this sector. Do we make the overtake here? I don't think we will. We'll stay behind because it doesn't really make sense to overtake going into that last corner, because you'll just give DRS back to the other driver. So we'll have DRS here, really running low on battery, but that's what we got to do right now, just make those overtakes. So we'll go around the outside. Oh yeah, that's a really nice overtake now. And Norris is going to come back at us. I think that's the only challenge when you go down the outside that the other driver can come back at you. But there we go. We squeeze him out again, and we make that move possible and make it stick. So about 8.6 seconds, sorry, to both us now, and we lost a bit of time overtaking Norris. Still trying to claw down that gap between myself and the top 3 in lap 22. They were checking for damage. Thankfully, we don't have any damage from that overtake on Norris, so we're going to push on. We need to get our head down and just try and claw away at this gap if we can. What you got to remember at this point, Verstappen, Hamilton and Bottas are on a very different strategy to us. So they are on the soft tires, they will be faster at this stage. We just need to make sure that we don't really lose a lot of ground to them. I think the ideal situation would be to
8.8 seconds. They're on fresh soft.
cut down the gap, but as you'll see, we haven't really gained even after overtaking Norris. So about 9 seconds now to Bottas as we go into lap 23. About 50% of the race is already done, and we are about still P4, which is good progress. But if we want to go and win this race, we really need to push hard in the next few laps. Going into lap 25, you'll see we'll cut down the gap a little bit. So at this point, the tires are giving away for the front 3. About 7.7 seconds the gap now as we go into lap 26. And we set the fastest lap. So we are now the fastest car. I think the softs are wearing out. So going again into the next lap, we again set the fastest lap. The gap now is down to 6.9 seconds. So we are gaining about half a second or 3/10 back to Bottas. But the interesting thing is that Hamilton is still about 15-16 seconds ahead. We're not really gaining on the front 2 though, so skipping a lot ahead now. Nothing really happened in the laps between. So lap 33, we are about 4.8 seconds to Bottas, and I think he has some sort of issue because we've really closed up in the last lap or so, about a second, and you can see Hamilton is still 16 seconds ahead. So I think one of the reasons for that is Verstappen and Hamilton are getting DRS off each other, so they are continuously fighting as Hamilton goes into the pits. We will stay on at this point because we are on the medium tire. We want to extend this stint to as long as possible so that we can get the maximum offset to Hamilton and Verstappen. So 5 seconds to Bottas at this point, about 18.5 seconds to our teammate, and as we go into turn 1, you'll see that we are ahead of Hamilton. So Hamilton is right behind us, about a second and a half behind us. Verstappen about 18.5 seconds ahead. So at this point, I'm thinking Hamilton is definitely going to be much faster on those fresher medium tires. Is there any point in really fighting him? I'm not really sure, but he's still a bit far off, so I think we'll make that decision a little bit later. Bottas is 4.5 seconds. He definitely has an issue. He's losing a lot of time at this point, so thankfully that could be one position that we are able to gain for free. As we skip ahead to the next lap, you'll see Hamilton is closed up, not by much, about a tenth or so. So we are keeping pace with the front with Hamilton at this point. He's not really gaining a lot with those fresher medium tires. Verstappen is about 18.5 seconds again. So we are keeping with Verstappen, which at this point is all we can ask for in the same car on the softer tire, even though those soft tires should be rubbish at this point. As Verstappen now pits.
Max in the pits.
Verstappen should be coming out right in front of us, if I'm not wrong, because they lose about 18 seconds in the pits. The tires feel absolutely fine at this point. You'll see about 20% wear, so we can go very long at this stage, but we want to make sure that we have enough laps in the end so that we can catch up back to Hamilton Verstappen. So, and as I predicted, Verstappen is right in front at this point, so we will be getting DRS. We go to the next lap, you'll see that we're still sticking in the DRS of Verstappen, and at this point Hamilton is really putting pressure on us, about 5 tenths, 6 tenths behind. So we I'm still thinking if I should let him pass and not fight with him at all, as Verstappen is getting caught up a little bit in traffic because of these blue flagged cars. But at this stage, I was really happy because Verstappen is much quicker than us at this point with those fresher tires, but we are sticking in the DRS and we're getting towed along. So we're gaining a lot of time on Bottas at this point because of the tow that we're getting from Verstappen, and he's towing us away with with that DRS. So this is really working out very well for us. We're gaining a lot of time on the back behind by just sticking in the DRS of Verstappen and him taking us along with him. So that's the aim. I think we want to do this as long as we possibly can. At some point, they will definitely get away from me, but as long as we can stay in the DRS of either Verstappen or Hamilton, we should be gaining a lot of time on the others. So as Hamilton sets the fastest lap, he's definitely now faster than me. So now I think here's when I decided that I'll just let Hamilton pass. And there you go, you'll see that Hamilton is gone. So all we need to do right now is just chill and stick behind Hamilton in his DRS and just have them tow me along with them so that I'm not put under pressure by Bottas, who's behind. So you'll see Bottas is about 13.5 seconds behind. We want to make sure that we can extend that gap as much as possible. So about 12.8 seconds now. So we want to make sure that we can try and stick, take that to about 15-16 seconds, so we can, when we pit, we can come behind Bottas ahead of Norris, and you can easily overtake Bottas with those fresh soft tires. That's what we want to do. So 12.8 seconds, we'll stick in the DRS again now, 6 tenths behind Hamilton. We will gain a lot of time because of that. Going into I love this turn, just 2 downshifts to 6th gear, and you stick close to the walls, and it's really satisfying, that corner. 6 tenths now to Hamilton. We'll get the DRS, and we just want to make sure that we don't go for overtakes or waste any time fighting Hamilton. At this point, we just want to stick in his DRS, take advantage of those 3 DRS zones, and just get pulled along by the top 2. So going into lap 37, we are P3 with Bottas chasing us. We still have to make one pit stop for the fresh soft tires. 13.2 seconds to Bottas. We're not really gaining a lot. The tires still seem fine. We can extend longer if we want. At this stage, we definitely have overcut Norris, so we should be coming ahead of Norris. But ideally, I wanted to come ahead of Bottas, but we're not really gaining that much time. But we'll still try and stay within the DRS of Hamilton. About just keeping it within a second there. Just want to make sure that we have a really nice hairpin, good sector 2, so that we can get the DRS in sector 3. As Valtteri Bottas is out of the session, so I did say that I felt that he was a bit slow in that first stint, and he was did have an engine issue, and that just proves that. So Bottas has retired from the race. We're about 20 seconds ahead of Norris, and we just have DRS at this point, but I don't think we'll keep it the next time. So we decide to pit this lap, and we should be coming out in P3, so we won't lose any positions at this point with Norris 20 seconds back, and we have all to do in the third stint. We'll be a pit stop behind Verstappen and Hamilton on definitely much faster tires. I think Hamilton pit about lap 33 and Verstappen pit on lap 34. So they do have about 5 or 6 lap old medium tires, and we'll have fresh softs. So there should be a big delta there.
Up to speed.
We have about 12 laps to go.
Tires.
Coming out of the pits, you'll see about 18 or 19 seconds behind the front 2, and we have all to do in these 12 laps now. So as we come out of the pits here, you'll see that we start to gain a lot of time during these set of corners. So you'll see by the end of sector 1, it was 19 seconds when we came out of the pits. It's about 17.5 seconds. So I think what's helping us here is that Verstappen and Hamilton are losing a lot of time to each other as well, even though they are on these 5 or 6 lap old mediums. The pace delta should not be that much, but I think the reason they are losing that much time is because they're just fighting each other so much, and it's just the way the 21 season really went, right? So Verstappen and Hamilton way ahead of everybody, and they are fighting each other. But obviously, there was no Checo Perez with our sort of skill set in real life. But um, I'll move away from that. We are about 16.8 seconds behind Verstappen. We are set this purple second sector, going into this final corner, really nice corner, and we are going to set the fastest lap. No, we won't. That's the first lap after the pit stop. So 16.7 seconds. We've gained a chunk of time there, about 2.3 seconds in the first lap itself. As we skip ahead, we'll set the fastest lap. We'll go into lap 40, and we'll just show you how much time we are gaining. About 12.9 seconds now, lap 41. And as we go into lap 42, about 11.2 seconds behind. So we've gained a lot of time. Lap 43, about 10 seconds behind. Lap 44, now 8 seconds behind. So you're seeing that we're gaining about 2 seconds a lap here. Going into lap 45, about 6.7, so again a second gain in that lap as well. And now we'll stick on board a little bit and going into lap 46, about 5.3 seconds behind. So we've gained a lot of time in the last 8 laps. We've closed down the gap by more than 13 seconds. I'm going to stick with this lap. Going now into turn 3, in 7th gear we shift down to 5th gear, quickly upshift to 6th gear, just stay in 6th gear here. Very smooth with the throttle, you can easily spin out on those curves. Try and keep it in 6th gear, just a little bit of lift during these corners, and we enter into sector 2. Just want to make sure that we're really smooth with the throttle going into this hairpin. We're going down into 5th gear, and as we apply the throttle, we're really smooth because it's very easy to spin out over there. Going up the gears, just make sure that we take the fastest line through, double shift, downshift, and we again smooth on the throttle down to 5th, upshift to 6th gear, and again we're off on this straight. Just need to make sure that we are able to stick close to the walls and take the minimum and maximum speed with minimum distance during these straights. Again, double downshift down to 6th gear. We go really smooth on the throttle again and go straight up onto this back straight. And
yellow flag.
Want to make sure that we stick very close to the wall on the left there. And as we go into the final corner, really smooth, going down to 4th gear, smooth on the throttle, very easy to lose it there, just like the real Verstappen has actually done last year. So just want to make sure that we're really smooth and down into the final straight to turn 1. So 4.3 seconds the gap now, going into lap 47, 4 laps to go, and we are still looking to make sure at least that we are on the podium, but I really wanted this win, so going really after it at this point. You'll see we gain a lot of time in sector 1 again, and the gap is now down to 2.2 seconds. So I think Verstappen and Hamilton really were going at it during that sector, so we've lost 2 seconds in just one sector there. So something must have happened there, going side by side, or somebody must have crashed into somebody. So Hamilton now leading at this point. Verstappen is about 1.9 seconds in front of us, and they're constantly changing the lead here, really fighting hard. As I said at the start of this video, very difficult to really make overtakes if you have on the same pace as the other driver, because there's so many DRS zones and the other driver can just come back very easily. And here's the example of that. You're seeing that Hamilton and Verstappen are just losing so much time to each other, just continuously battling the last 10 odd laps. So again, going into the final corner, you'll see that Hamilton and Verstappen about 3 or 4 tenths to each other. On this straight, I was definitely losing time to both of them because one of them would have DRS on the other. So the place that we're really gaining is to the corners. And again, you see Verstappen makes that overtake on Hamilton. Now Hamilton is P2 and Verstappen is leading this race. Going into sector 1, this is where I thought that I needed to push. It's just 3 laps to go, so I needed to make sure that I got into the DRS of Hamilton by the end of this lap. So we're going to ride on board as we go into this really twisty, turny sector 1. We will gain some time, and we are about 1.6 seconds now. So we gained about 6 tenths during that sector, as Hamilton will now have DRS on Verstappen. So they'll continue to fight, and I just need to make sure that I'm there to pick up the pieces if one of them crashes. So
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
1.7 seconds now to the top 2, really getting interesting at this point. There are going to be back markers, so the back markers might come into play in this race if somebody is holding somebody up there. But you'll see I'm gaining a lot of time as Verstappen and Hamilton are fighting each other so much on these straights and in those DRS zones. So going into this final DRS zones, we don't get the DRS at this point. We're about 1.1 seconds off, so need to gain a tenth or so by the final corner, so that we can get the DRS on the main straight. So will we be able to get DRS? No, we don't. So 1 almost got it but didn't. So we are now under a second. We didn't get DRS here, but we should be able to stick with Hamilton by the end of sector 1 so that we can get DRS just before that hairpin on turn 8 or 9 maybe. Let's keep on board, see how we're going to chase this down. So you'll see Verstappen and Hamilton fighting so much at this point. Now the gap is down to 6 tenths, so we're definitely getting DRS down to that hairpin. If we go a little bit wide over there, but we're still keeping it on the road, about 4-5 tenths to Hamilton, we get the DRS, and finally we are here. And about 2 laps to go. We need to make sure that we are able to overtake Hamilton very quickly here, because we'll need to overtake Verstappen at some point. We are sticking with Verstappen. He's not really pulling away. 1.3 seconds to Verstappen, so we need to make this overtake very quickly to have any chance to actually win this race. So we're going to stay on board going into this final DRS zones. And my thinking here is, should I overtake Hamilton here or should I wait for turn 1? Because it's the last lap of the race after this, and we still have to chase after Verstappen. We go for the move around the outside. We go about a little wide, but thankfully we don't make the move there, because now Hamilton is going to be a sitting duck. I have run out of battery though, so
This is your final
you'll
lap.
see that
The
Hamilton
final
is
lap of
so
the race.
fast in those straights. But we'd go for the dive here and turn 1, and we make that move stick somehow, and we are behind Verstappen going into the final lap. And just the replay there, you'll see the way that we overtook Hamilton there. Wow, that was really sketchy, but no harm. We're behind Verstappen, and Verstappen has a back marker in front of him. I think that's who is that? That is Alonso, and he's holding up Verstappen as we overtake him round the outside. But that's an illegal overtake, and we need to give that position. That was crazy. Alonso was holding Verstappen back. He had blue flag and he was holding him back. Let's look at the replay. Verstappen is behind Alonso and he's stuck. He can't overtake him, and I overtake him around the outside. Obviously that's an illegal overtake. I need to give the place back. But wow, that was crazy. Wildly old fox Alonso, just helping us out there. So anyways, we are behind Verstappen now in the DRS zone. We want to make sure that we get a really good run on him going into that final corner, because that's the only place we can overtake now. And just want to make sure that I get a really good run going into that DRS zone. So down to 6th gear. Now going up the gears, we'll get DRS. We're going to completely drain the battery at this point. Verstappen does not have DRS. And so this should be a fairly easy overtake, and we go for the move on the last lap going into the final corner. We are ahead. We are P1, but Verstappen is going to get DRS now. He is going to come back at us. We're going to make sure that we squeeze him. He's going to try and make this overtake. He's going to go into the left. We squeeze him to the left, and we're going to win this race. Whew. Wow. That was crazy. That was too close for comfort, but we have done it, guys. We've gone from P20 to P1 in a 100% race versus 100% AI.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think we'll chalk this one up to a deft touch on the brake pedal. That's allowed them to challenge down the inside into the braking zones, and ultimately, if you do that often enough, you end up winning the race. It was great to watch as well though, wasn't it? Forget strategy, forget tyre management. Who doesn't love a good old-fashioned scrap?
The drivers are en route to the
Whoa,
podium as we
so
speak.
Perez
What a
on the top step of
fantastic
the
win
podium,
for the Red Bull team.
a 1-2 for
They
Red
performed
Bull.
exceptionally today, keeping us firmly
That's
on
it
the
for
edge
the
of our
video today,
seats throughout
guys.
the
If
entirety
you
of
did
the
like
race.
it, leave a like
Congratulations
on the
to everyone
video,
at the team.
share it with your friends, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time for some F1 or FIFA action on my channel. Thank you so much.